Hey friends, Audrey Henley here, and today I'm going to be talking about some differences between offset printing and print-on-demand printing. We're going to be getting into the nuances of when something is printed on demand versus when it's printed offset, and what it means for self-publishing and for traditionally publishing. So stay tuned. Okay, so the first thing I want to go over this video is the fact that I have reached 100 subscribers. So thanks to everyone who's been along for the journey. If you're just new here, if you've been there the whole way. Either way, I thank you so much for sticking it out with me and seeing how this whole writing thing goes. And I want to open up the comments down below to some questions. So either this week or the week after that, I'm going to be doing a Q&A celebration video for hitting 100 subs. So please leave all your questions down below. It can be silly, it can be what's your favorite recipe, or don't ask what my favorite sport is. I don't know what I'd even tell you. You know, any lifestyle things, any book things, any writing things, I'm here for it. And I did ask this on Twitter as well, but I just wanted to give this opportunity up in case you only follow me on YouTube. So, alright, I'm really excited for that Q&A video, so stay tuned and I'm going to do my best to answer each question that comes in. So yeah. So what I'm going to be talking about today is print-on-demand versus offset printing versus, I guess, short-run digital printing. And this is coming from a production standpoint. I work at a traditional publisher and I work with POD platforms as well as offset printers. So I kind of know both sides. I know how they work. And I think it's a big myth that all self-published authors use print-on-demand or that traditional publishers only do offset printing. That is not true. It's varied throughout. So what I'm going to be going over in this video is some quality differences and what the actual things are. I'm also going to be going over some differences in material choice. I think that's actually the biggest difference between POD models and offset models is that you get a lot more choice when you go with a traditional printer. POD, you only can pick certain stocks, and I'll go over that. So I'm going to be showing you a POD book alongside a traditionally printed book, and I'll also show you how I can tell. So first here is a POD book. I actually just bought this today. I went to the Twin Cities Book Festival, and I had a chance to say hello to Britta Jensen, and she was selling her book, and I talked to her, and she writes YA sci-fi, so I was excited. But I do happen to know this is POD. Some things to notice right away, it's a shiny coat. There's a little, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's a little ridge here, and that's like glue. That's a glue thing. Another telltale sign is the barcode is really big. Here's the telltale sign if it's POD, is this barcode on the very last page. Every single POD book has that. That doesn't matter if it's LSI Lightning Source or if it's KDP Kindle Digital Printing, which is Amazon. So both will have that. You check the last page and there's no extra barcode and information there, then it's not POD. That's how you tell. So this particular book has a cream stock. Stock is another word for paper. Yeah, just like, you know, straight up paperback. And this next one is one that you're gonna tell right away isn't POD. So first, it has a metallic finish. Metallic finish is not something you will find on any print-on-demand platform. It's only available at specialized printers. So we got that foil. There's also on the spine, you can see how this doesn't shine? That's a spot gloss. So there's only gloss applied to certain parts of the spine. And you can still see the metallic finish there. So these are the kind of options you get at a traditional offset printer that you don't get at a print-on-demand place. So print-on-demand is really good if you want to do a straight up paperback. You just want a paperback. You know, metallic finishes, spot gloss. If you want raised letters, if you want stamping, if you want foil, anything specialized, that's all gonna have to be a traditional printer. But let's just go over what you actually can do with a POD book. And so got another book here. This is Evelyn's Number by Bethany Adazeta, and it's also has the telltale barcode there on the very last page. But it's a lot different from this book, and you can see that. So as I rotate these, you can see that this has a matte finish. and this has a gloss finish. Those are the two options you get with Beauty. You get gloss or you get matte. That's it. So these are your two options there. And then you can also see the two stock differences here. So this is a cream paper, this is a white paper, and that's the two stock options you get. That's it. You can't change the thickness of the paper. You can't change the opacity, how see-through it is. You can't change the texture. So POD, your options are very limited, but they're decent options. I mean, these both look like regular old paperback books, am I right? Like, there's nothing wrong with them. And if you get a good cover designer and you get like a good typesetter, it can still look like a really good paperback book that you would find anywhere on any bookshelf. Here's another example. I've been talking about this one a lot, but this clear cover and then this litho case. Like this is and then these bright yellow end papers. This is the kind of stuff you don't get everywhere. And I did want to touch on briefly the differences between KDP and LSI. So again, Lightning Source Ingram versus Kindle digital printing, which is Amazon. With Ingram, they will do hardcover jacketed, and they also do hardcover litho case. So this is a jacket, and then litho case is like this printed thing. And so not all like hardcovers, it's weird that this book does a litho case and a jacket. Usually this would just be like a plain board with maybe some stamping on here. But this is litho case with a jacket. Anyway, with Lightning Source Ingram, you can do a jacket. But again, your options will be a little bit limited. You'll have the matte or the gloss coating again. And you know, only one type of board. Board is what the case is actually made out of. It's like a cardboard thing. So you can't change the thickness of that. It is what it is. But you can do hardcover or litho case with Lightning Source Ingram. You cannot with Kindle digital printing. They actually only do paperback. In traditional publishing, a lot of times publishers will release a hardcover version of a book first, and then later down the line, once you know they sell out of hardcover copies, they'll make a paperback version. And so that's just like a traditional model, and I don't think a lot of self-published authors will choose to do that. But if they did, they would have to work with Lightning Source Ingram versus KDP. What is the difference between print on demand and offset printing and short run digital printing? So a lot of people don't understand offset printing, and that's because it's not like anything you've ever seen. I actually used to work at a printer that had an offset press and digital presses, and I learned a lot about how offset presses actually work. And like, I worked there for a couple years, and like it still is having trouble clicking in here, exactly the science behind it. But I'm gonna do my best to explain it to you. I hope you are ready to enter this rabbit hole with me, this research rabbit hole. But it's about books, and we love books here on authortube and booktube, so just stick with me here. Offset printing, it's old, it's been in use for a while, and it works, and it makes very clear images. The things I do know about offset printing is we have these plates that are created for each run, and these plates, as far as I understand, are like metal sheets that are coated in some sort of liquid. There's like a chemical process that happens, and they use these plates to create each run. For a color book, they would do 4 different sets of plates. So they would do CMYK, so it's cyan, magenta, yellow, and K is black. For a 4-color book, it actually goes through the press 4 different times, or if you know, depending on the press, maybe they'll have like C, M, Y, K, and it just keeps going through the press. The books go through this press, and they use offset, use a different kind of inks, and it's a different process than digital printing, which I'll get to in a second. So what do you have to know about offset printing? The thing that's important to you is that offset printing produces better quality images. And I work for a printer, so I know this. Printers will try to tell you that digital printing has caught up to offset printing and that it produces great images. It's just as good, it's just as consistent. The thing is, it isn't. And I know this from experience from working with digital and offset printers. Offset is superior. There's not really a doubt about it. One thing it's not so clear about is if it's better price-wise and for the environment, because for offset printing you have to create these plate things which are metal, and so that is a very high upfront cost. And then usually with offset, because you have that high upfront cost, you want to run as many books through that run as you can so that you are getting your money's worth for paying for that upfront plate cost. So you usually print a lot. And if you print a lot of books, you need a place to store them. You need a warehouse. You probably don't want to store them in your bedroom or your apartment or wherever. So you have to pay warehouse fees. So you have to counter those. And so the idea is you print a bunch of these up at once, store them somewhere, and then ship them out as people order them. And so for a self-published author who's maybe selling like 2 copies a week or something, maybe that's not the best because you have to pay for those warehouse fees, you have to pay for that big plate cost, you have to buy like, 500 books at once to make it even worth it to do offset. So there are all these reasons why offset is not always conducive to self-publishing. Next, let's talk about short-run digital printing. So this is sort of in between POD and offset printing. So short-run digital printing is done at a traditional printer again, but many of them have digital printers as well. And digital printers are what you think of when you think of printers like at home, like the inkjet printers. They work, with ink or with toner, and they work how you think a printer works. And these can make runs a lot faster. You don't have to make those plates. You can do much shorter runs, but the quality is going to go down a little bit, and that's kind of the trade-off. But with the short-run digital printers, because it's not the POD, you do have more choices. You can maybe do foil, you can do a fancier cover, you can choose a thicker paper stock, you can do lots of things. And if it's just a black and white plain textbook, you really might not need that super clear printing that offset provides. Like, people are going to be able to read your book just fine. If you had a lot of black and white images, perhaps offset would be the way to go. But for most people, you're just having text on a page, digital printing is going to do just fine at that. Really want like a nice fancy shimmery cover, but you don't want to pay like the offset fees. Short-run digital printing is a really great option. And finally, what we've all been waiting for, let's talk about POD printing. So this is what most people who self-publish choose to go with. If you put your book on Amazon and have them print it, that is POD. That is print on demand, Kindle digital printing. It's going to have that barcode on the last page. And you're going to get that limited stock choice, that limited cover coating, all of that stuff. They also have limited trim sizes, which is a thing. So if you want a cute little itty bitty trim size, that might be harder. I don't think it's that bad of a deal, but just so you know, you can't do every trim size under the sun. Mostly, the really strong advantage of print on demand is that it's on demand. So someone orders your book, then it's printed, and it gets shipped off to them. And so you do not have to pay a warehouse fee to store those books. And you don't have to try to store them in your basement and lug them around and send them yourself. So Amazon or Lightning Source Ingram will print for you and send them off for you. And so that really is the most cost-effective way to self-publish. With traditional publishing, the reason they can afford to do offset is that they expect to sell many copies, so they're willing to take on those warehouse fees. They know that their books are going to get placed in Barnes & Noble. They're going to have certain orders just by virtue of them publishing it, so they're not going to have trouble selling those books. And that, that isn't always the case, but they have more guarantees of large sales, so they're able to pay that big fee and make it cost effective to go ahead and print offset and have the shimmery covers and the fancy stuff. One little artifact I wanted to show you from offset printing. So this is a signature. So this is a little section of 8 pages, and this is like book paper. So just show the camera here. It's got that like nice grainy feel. It's not like office paper. And I could unfold it, and you can see it's like this. And it's all like put together. So offset books are made of little sections like this that are glued or sewn together. So I'm going to show you something really close here. I want you to look at right here and see if you can see the little ridges. And if you can't on this camera, go ahead and grab a nice hardcover book of yours and see if you can spot them. There's little bunches, and what those are signatures like this. That's sort of how offset books are manufactured. They do big bunches of paper and they cut them and fold them, which is why book pages need to be divisible by 8. They make these things called 4-ups, and I'll try to post a picture here because I think I'm going to do a really awful job of explaining what they are. But 4-ups are how printers take the file that like me as a production assistant would give them, and they make this 4-up so it can actually happen on their printers. It'd be like this, and yeah, they cut this into a page size. I don't know. Guys, I've been working in production for a while and I still like have trouble wrapping my head around it. So just to recap, offset printing is big fancy printing. It's better quality. You have more material options, but there's a big upfront cost to make those plates, and you do have to store the books in a warehouse and pay warehouse fees. Short run digital printing, you can do much smaller runs because there isn't an upfront plate cost. It'll be a slightly better quality than POD, and you have more material choices. Some printers will do some warehousing for you, so that is an option, but you could do like a run of 300 and that would still be like pretty cost effective. Then we have print on demand, which is through LSI or KDP, and it prints a book each time one is ordered, and so you have 0 warehousing fees. The materials you can pick from are very limited, but if you're just doing a straight up paperback or straight up hardcover with lightning source, that's okay, and it's a pretty effective option. And you can still have a really good looking book. Self-publishing, you do have to cut costs because you don't have the same resources that a major publisher does. You just don't. So I just wanted to go through some of this stuff. If you're doing like an art book or like something with 4 colors, that's where you might want to consider like offset printing. Okay everyone, hope this has been helpful learning the difference between offset and POD and short run digital printing. I'll probably provide some links below with how offset printing works if you're like really curious, but it's sort of like one of those magical mechanical things. Just trust me on this when I say it's like better quality. Please leave any questions or comments below. Let me know if you found this helpful, or I don't know if I made any sense. And please leave your questions for my 100 subscriber Q&A video, which I'm super excited about. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little bell thing. See you next week. Bye.